Hi everybody, my name is Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. The word that's really been coming and coming and coming all day today, and it started early this morning, I'll tell you how as I get into the story, but is the miracle of each of our lives, the miracle of each individual life, the miracle of this incredible experiment, this incredible amazement that goes on this planet every day. What looks good, what looks bad, what looks troubling, what looks separate, what looks odd. I mean, all of it is one really giant miracle. And the way it started for me this morning was that probably a lot of you know that we had this guest on, Gloria Wendroff. She's been on twice. She was on, I think, on show 175 and show 200, and she does these things every day, and she's done thousands and thousands of them. They're called heaven letters, and it's channelings from God. And today, the heaven letter that came into my mailbox, or my email box this morning, was about miracles. I don't know if that was exactly the name, but it was like just explaining or just listing everything that goes on in our lives and which of those is not a miracle. That we wake up every day, that the flowers grow, that there's so much beauty on this planet, that there's so much amazement that goes on in our lives every day. That when we can look in the mirror and there can be a consciousness that looks back, that the sun comes up, that the ocean has tides, and that there's a beach, and that there are trees and all the animals. What about this is not a miracle? And yet the amazing part, and one of the great miracle parts, is how we miss it all the time. And how we're not in recognition of the glory, the grandness, the vastness, the amazement that each of us is, and then collectively together on this amazing planet Earth. What a miracle it is. What an amazing miracle each breath and each day and each moment and each of our interactions really is. And it's interesting because one of the last shows we taped was with an American Indian shaman elder, this guy Tehikvas, and we were talking during the show about, bringing the magic back, bringing that miracle back, the amazement and the strangeness and the weirdness that we don't recognize the miracle more. And I always talk about that we're hurtling through space on a ball. I mean, what about that is not a miracle, that we're on this planet and we have countries and demarcations and land and sea and all the things that happen on this earth. And yet we're hurtling through space at like a zillion miles an hour. Hurtling the sun and circling this and the moon rotating around us, and everything about it, everything about each of us, everything about all of which is going on now is such a grand and great and amazing miracle. And what do we need for each of us to recognize that more and more and more? Because probably, truth be told, for each one of us, we could recognize it more and more and more. Somehow, even those who recognize it forget sometimes. So, in a way, we see it as, our service, our destiny, our, the word job is used on planet Earth, our play, our gift, our blessing, is to reach out to people who, in some way or another, to some extent or another, have recognized the miracle of their own life and recognize the miracle of this incredible planet and recognize the miracle of the gifts that they have to share and how they just are so delighted and so giving in their service, in their openness to want to be part of that recognition of ourselves, of God, of truth, of oneness, of that miracle of this human life, of this human earth planet. And tonight's guest is one of those dedicated, beautiful, amazing beings who's dedicated her life to that recognition, to bringing the magic back, to bringing the recognition of who we really are, of reconnecting, of healing the heart, of reconnecting us to that oneness, to that love. Sue Frederick is a spiritual teacher. She's a healer. She's an author. She's been intuitive since her childhood. She's a life coach, a career coach. She's the author of 5 books. And really her intention is to help you see the mission you came to accomplish and love you came to experience, and to use her gifts and her skills and her vibration of that connection to open that in you, to bring that knowledge, to bring that recognition of who you really are and what incredible gifts and service and blessings you have within you and you're here to bring to this earth. 2 of the most incredible books that she's written, I think they're the 2 most recent ones. The newest one is I See Your Soulmate, and then the one right before that was I See Your Dream Job. And literally Sue travels the world feeling that connection, feeling that miracle, feeling that love, feeling that oneness, and sharing it. I mean, she was a guest on a former bridging show, I think it was Bridging Heaven and Earth, show number 258. If you go on YouTube and you want to, after you watch this show, you want to see that one as well. An amazing show, a powerful show, where she talked about how she was growing. Maybe she'll talk about some of it again. But just, it's a great gift to have Sue with us. And really, if you're watching this, it's a great gift for you to have the life you have. Look in that mirror, realize the miracle of what it is for you to have a consciousness to see yourself in that mirror. And that's true for everyone on this planet. And the things we use to separate us are much, much smaller and of no consequence in relation to that miracle, into that oneness that we really are. So also, as most of you know, we usually show videos and music videos and art videos. And tonight we have 2 really lovely videos. Most of you are familiar over the years with Gabrielle Roth. She started this 5-rhythm meditation movement, and it spread all over the world. And now she's coming into a place where she really wants it to spread more and more all over the world to all kinds of prisons and populations that wouldn't be available to this before, and through the internet and through various technological things now they can be made available to it. So she sent us this beautiful video, Reach Out. So it's a Reach Out by Gabrielle Roth. And then she also did this 5-rhythm moving meditation. And we had recently a guest, Lucia, Horan, who is her stepdaughter. And we're showing a beautiful video that she did of the 5 rhythms and the 5 movements. So we have videos by Gabrielle and Lucia, and just incredible beauty. And as most of you are all also familiar with, we have an extraordinary international healing art project. It came as a dream, it came as a vision, as a healing of the heart of the planet, as an acupuncture for the planet, that we would use the bridging facilities and the bridging distribution system that through the internet and YouTube and Vimeo and cable stations all over the United States, satellite stations all over Europe. So this distribution of bridging goes out all over the world. And we said anybody who produces an all new original piece based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth, we'll put it on the shows, we'll have a beautiful healing art website, which is heaventoearthart.com. We'll have exhibits, we'll at some point get them into hospitals and museums as healing, as having that energy of love, of having that energy of healing. And tonight we have 2 beautiful, beautiful pieces of all new original art based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth, and for that very intention of healing the heart of the planet. And one is by Sue's beloved husband, Gene. He did this beautiful piece. And the other one is Ralph White, who's been an old friend of Bridging. He did 2 pieces, and we're going to show one of them tonight, Imagined Earth. Beautiful, beautiful piece. And so, again, anybody who wants to participate with us, to collaborate with us, to be part of that healing, part of that creativity, please join us. The more people involved, the better the healing. And the only intention of it is to heal that, to reconnect us, to heal that feeling of separation, and to bring that love and that magic and that miracle back into our lives. So join me in a short meditation, then we'll have the Gabrielle Roth video, and then Sue will be with us, and art, and more videos, and more love, and more connection, and more miracles. So join me in a short meditation. Thank you. So the first video is Gabrielle Roth, Reach Out, beautiful video. She's an amazing being. She's been doing this a long time, and it's just really beautiful. So Gabrielle Roth, Reach Out, enjoy.
I'm Gabrielle Roth. Welcome to the world of the 5 Rhythms Reach Out, where we hope to bring the magic and power of the 5 rhythms to people everywhere. I've been investigating the 5 rhythms for over 4 decades. Tens of thousands of people have come along with me on this journey, and at this point we have 400 teachers on 5 continents, creating communities that dance, that move, and that serve. When I walk into rooms and I see anywhere from 10 to hundreds of people dancing, I see a living prayer. I see a living prayer for who we could be if we were really let go and let loose. When I was 16, I had to put myself through university, and the only thing that I knew how to do was dance. So my creative challenge was to get somebody to pay me to do that. So I got a job working on playgrounds. Somebody saw me working on playgrounds with kids and invited me to work with seniors. And then somebody invited me to a mental institute, and it just began to spread like that. I did not know, nor did I have a clue, that it would turn into a body of work as powerful as the 5 rhythms. When I grew up and continued on, and I saw what I was developing and doing, I knew it had to go back and feed its roots. It had to go back. The impact of the Reach Out is already dramatic. We have people dancing in the Dallas County Jail, elders in their 90s and 100s in Bogota, Colombia, 13-year-old kids in Cambodia and Thailand. We have teachers going into all kinds of schools. We have cancer patients learning the 5 rhythms as a tool for keeping their sanity through a very difficult time. I am just launching this site, friends, and already the spirit of it is moving in a way that I could never have imagined. Our mission is to get everybody moving in its own unique way, whether it's in a wheelchair or in sneakers, whether it's 8 or 80 years old, that body was born to move. We hope you will join us as we work toward making this happen, making this real, making this accessible to everybody who can reach out and grab it.
Hi everybody, welcome back. So yeah, beautiful video, Reach Out, Gabrielle Roth, 5 rhythms. So thank you, Gabrielle, for sending it to us. And Jason Goodman was the director. And Lucia Horan, who you'll see in the later video, she let us know about this as well. And she was a guest on Bridging Show 293. So if you're interested in more of Gabrielle's work and Lucia's work and play and the 5 rhythms dance, go to Bridging Heaven and Earth show number 293 and you can see that. And the beautiful piece of art that you see in between Sue and I is done by Sue's husband, Gene. So why don't you talk a little about that and how it came to be and all that.
Well, my husband, Gene, is a gifted intuitive and an artist, and he has a love of quantum physics. We talk all the time about, as Einstein called it, the elegant universe. And this is sort of his idea of the window into the elegant universe, talking about love and connection and intuition and the beauty of the planet. and just how the elegant pieces all fit together. And I love his quote that he put here by the Dalai Lama, because it really talks about how fear and love are opposites. And if we can live in love with our hearts open, the fear goes away and we live the life we came to live. So
beautiful. That's a perfect lead into you,
right.
who's devoted her life to use your intuition to help people really experience that. Why don't you talk a little about growing up? I mean, I know we've talked about this before,
right.
but people who are just coming to this show and,
yeah.
you know, not, the other one is show 258, so if they
right.
want to watch that, it's a beautiful show. But just give a little background.
Well, I grew up in New Orleans, and I came from a long line of Creole women with the gift, where they would wake up in the night knowing that the phone call was going to come to tell them that someone they loved had died. And this was just common knowledge in my mother's family, that everyone had this gift. And yet it wasn't especially cherished. And by the time I was growing up in the 50s, the message I got was, it's very nice that you have dreams that come true and that you see spirits of dead people, but you really should be quiet about that and not tell anyone, because it's probably just going to cause you a lot of trouble. And back in the 50s, you know, people like you and I might remember that women were even put away sometimes for talking about seeing spirits and having visions. And so I was sort of brought up with the idea that, yes, I had this strange ability to have dreams that came true down to the last detail, and to see departed loved ones in my bedroom at night when I would wake up. And yet this was not something that was going to serve me. And so I really struggled for many, many years in my life figuring out what do I do with that information? Is it because I'm crazy that I have that, or is it my gift? And just like many people who are intuitive and spiritual, I finally realized, no, that is my gift. If I have a vision, it's on purpose to help someone. If I see a departed loved one, it's on purpose to help someone. But it took a long time for me to understand that.
And we talked about this a little last time. It was challenging for you in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And you went through a lot of...
Right, a lot of self-doubt.
Right.
And I think everyone who is sensitive, and I think everyone who has powerful intuition, and we all have very powerful intuition, it's just that some of us are more able to shut it down more easily than others. And I think of my own life as probably someone who grew up with a very undeveloped left brain, which is the logical part that we all need to navigate the physical world, and an overdeveloped right brain, all this creative, spiritual, intuitive stuff coming in. And probably back in the 50s, if they'd given me a brain scan, they would have labeled me as ADHD or something, and I would have been put in a special school. But I learned and looked at the world in a completely different way than the average normal person did. And I think there's a lot of people who come of age knowing that they have a different perspective, that they do have feelings that come to them that are true and right. And hopefully now, people are able to own that more and say, hey, that's a gift. That doesn't mean something is wrong with me. It means that that's something I'm here to use to help other people, with my insights and my intuition.
Yeah, we talk about that as, you know, once you recognize that, it's that you're here to serve the love and there's a gift given.
Right.
So in a way, it's like really simple, but how you navigate it and come into that and
Right.
find a way to have it support your life, you know,
Yeah.
is trickier.
Yeah.
So your new book is, and we were talking a little earlier, is I See Your Soulmate, and you were talking about, it's really about love and really about,
Right.
so why don't you talk about that and expand on that?
Well, my first book, as you know, was about finding our true work. I See Your Dream
Service.
Job. And as I worked with all of those clients, they would come in and tell me their stories, and they would say, and I've lost my job, and I've lost my relationship, and I'm single and lonely. And I was always telling people, it all fits together. You have to get on your path. You have to remember who you are and follow your soul mission, and then your soulmate is allowed to be beside you. And they're not separate things. You don't go out and look for love when you hate your life and hate your job and think that that relationship is going to work out.
It's going to be healthy.
Right, right.
I doubt it. That's right.
Right, so you have to come at love from a place of being in alignment with who you are and doing doing your great work, even if it's something strange like what you and I do for a living, to find our great work and own it in the world and do it, that allows our soulmate, that's fulfilling our agreement here. So it allows our soulmate to come and stand beside us. And you know, you've worked with people, or you know people, I'm sure, who hit reinvention points and they say, everything fell apart. You know, I lost the job, I lost the house, I lost the marriage.
And there's a lot of that happening
and
now.
There is.
Yeah.
And even though we can't see at the time, that is a huge blessing. Because that's when we finally come up for air and go, wait a minute, who am I? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? What is the purpose of this? And those are the important questions. And that's what we've got to ask in order to find our way.
And walk us through how somebody comes to you and says,
Right.
ask that series of questions. They have to tell you that I lost this, this, and this, and I'm freaking out.
Right.
And my head's exploding, and you're telling me it's a gift.
It's a gift, right. Well, I go at it gently, as you can imagine, but when I work with people, I meditate first on their path, and I even look at their date of birth and use the birth path number from Pythagoras. You know, the funny thing is our whole economy, our whole number system here is from Pythagoras, and most of us have never been taught that Pythagoras was a mystic. And he said that every number has an energy or a feeling or a vibration, not just a quantity. And back in 1979, my husband died from cancer. I write about that in my books. And one of my friends was trying to help me recover from grief, and she gave me a reading with a numerologist, and that numerologist looked at my numbers of my date of birth and said, here's why you're here. Here's why you're still here. Here's the agreement you had with your husband. And it helped me make sense of things that nothing else helped me make sense of. And so finally I was able to go, well, I'm going to study these numbers and see if they really can help people. And eventually, it took me many years to come out of the closet and say, yes, I can look at your date of birth, your birth path. Like, for example, I know that you're on this 33 Master Soul path, high frequency journey to bring spiritual enlightenment and truth and healing to the world, and you're doing it beautifully with this show. So everybody has a mission, a purpose, and you can even find that from the date of birth. So I meditate on that. I feel the person's pain, their journey, their challenges, and I bring in my own intuitive visions, and I ask for help, helping that person understand how to move forward. And then I start working with them saying, you know, here you are in this transition point, but here's your great potential. And the reason you're going through this pain is to help you remember that you came here on purpose with a mission. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows, they have that gut feeling. You know, I came to do something more important than this. I came to be something more than a cashier at a store that I don't care about. And the world says, oh, be quiet, be grateful, you have a job. And so we numb out that gut feeling, that intuition. But our intuition is flawless, and it's always guiding us perfectly. We just have to get back in touch with it.
We have this expression, whatever you think you are, you're more.
Oh, that's great.
You know, whatever you think you are, you're more. So
I
the
love
more
that.
we can get into, you know, that openness of spirit,
Right,
of heart.
right.
Why don't you talk to that? Because I know you talk about
And
the openness.
I love how you talk about heart all the time and the oneness, and because everything comes from the heart. You know, the heart is really the soul, the connection to the soul. The mind is not. We are not our thoughts. We are expanded energy and consciousness. Intuition lives in the heart. So when our heart is shut down in fear, and our heart is shut down because we've been wounded, we are cutting off our connection to our higher self. We're cutting off our connection to our inner guidance. And in relationship, a relationship needs two people to be, no matter how much they hurt, opening their heart and sharing that heartfelt connection with each other. In our culture, we are so stuck in the head, so stuck in our left brains, so stuck in logic. And we all need to be sentenced to daily meditation to quiet that mind, to quiet the crazy thinking, so that we can then breathe into the heart, open the heart, and bring that beautiful, loving, intuitive guidance into our lives and into our relationships and into our work. Then our whole world is going to kind of get back in balance if we can do that.
Right. You know, we were talking earlier that, I mean, there's no way you can experience real harmony or peace unless you're having that experience,
Right.
because it doesn't exist anywhere else.
Right.
That's
And isn't it wild how our culture gives such respect to the monkey mind? You know, the people who kind of are the craziest people with the craziest ideas and so stuck in left brain thinking and not plugged into their higher self, they become elected politicians, they become CEOs of corporations. I mean, they are our gods in this culture. And what I'm hoping as consciousness shifts right now, because it definitely is shifting, the frenzy energy is just really elevated to such a point now that people are pretty much ready to jump ship from this planet.
No, their heads are exploding.
Their heads are exploding.
Right.
So as we raise consciousness now, I'm hoping that people are beginning to see, you know what, we've got to do this differently. We have to get in touch with the right brain as well, our higher self, our consciousness, and not talking about religion or church, but instead talking about our spirituality, our connection to divine, the fact that I'm an energy being, you're an energy being. This physical world is a temporary illusion. We have to start remembering that. Get out of the crazy monkey mind, open the heart, and live from that higher intention.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talk a lot, and I think I talked about the opening. It's amazing with, we also talk about that we're hurtling through space on a ball.
Right.
And what is reasonable about that, that we have country, all the things we do on Earth, and we're hurtling through space at a zillion miles an hour. I mean, it doesn't, it's all unreasonable. The whole thing is unreasonable. But somehow we get here, we bring all this reason and monkey mind
Right.
and definitions into who we are, what everything's capable of. It's amazing, really, that we can do that and do it so consistently.
And it's sort of like when you look at ants in an anthill and they're so busy carrying their little piece of dirt up the hill, and you just want to go, wait a minute, there's a bigger picture. You need to see a bigger picture. And our culture, probably if we were in outer space looking at this planet, we would just see this crazy frenetic energy sort of lost in the details and really missing the bigger picture. And
when astronauts go about 3 inches off Earth, they go, I can't believe the insanity that I've been involved in there.
Edgar Mitchell and
all those people.
And
they come back
and they have a
lives
spiritual message, It's like we all need to be sent to outer space so we can come back.
Internally or externally.
Exactly right, exactly right. And that's another good point. People in our culture are so fed up that they're turning to the wrong thing, whether it's drugs, alcohol, other kinds of addictions, looking for an answer. They're looking for help and they don't know where to look. And many times people are turned off by what I call spirituality, but they're really talking about religion and God, because they grew up in a church that didn't fit them. And they were given all these dogmas and rules, and those rules hurt them and maybe made them deny who they were in the world. And they come out of that, and usually people leave that sort of dogma church thing in their late 20s around that first Saturn return, and they go, wait a minute, that church is wrong, that dogma is wrong. And then if they don't go looking for a different definition of spirituality, they become so lost, because then their thought is, this is just a physical world. That's all there is. So why not be greedy and addicted to drugs and lost, because what's the point? And that's why I think it's so important to help people when they walk away from a church or religion to start then going on the spiritual exploration journey and saying, well, what do I believe to be true? Do I believe the quantum physicists when they say this is an energetic world of vibration and energy pulsing waves of light, which is what they say? Or do I really think this physical world is all there is? And whenever we have a loss or a death, and I've been very blessed in my life that I've experienced the loss of many people I love, and I feel them around me all the time. But when we go through a loss like that, and I had the gift of being able to hold my beautiful young husband in my arms as he died from cancer and actually see his spirit leave his body. And once you've had a personal experience like that, you can never again look at this physical world and say, that's all there is. And I just want to help people understand that this physical world is our dream, it's our illusion, and that the spirit world is what's real. And once we all shift to that perspective, everything changes.
Yeah, we talk about it as, kind of raising the quantum energy. So as we get closer to the 100th monkey, or that recognition becomes more widespread, in the process there'll be a lot of epiphanies, and a lot of people will recognize that going to your book signing or your workshop or watching a show like Bridging or something like that is of tremendous value to them. And that'll start changing everything.
And also, just to tell everybody who watches your show, if you've never meditated before, well then sit down, close your eyes, be quiet for 20 minutes.
Follow your breath.
Follow your breath, do whatever it takes to quiet that chatter in your mind. And you're going to begin to remember. You're going to begin to hear who you are. And if they say there's some percentage of people, if we could get so many percentage of people meditating on the planet, we would shift the energy instantly. And I'd certainly like to be a part of that.
I think it is happening. A lot of times when we have a certain percentage or a certain year, it's not exactly like that. But I think that, quantum-wise, we are doing that. And, as we got to a certain quantum point, where information and vibration can be spread by the internet, by YouTube. So somebody Googles, Sue Frederick, you come up and the Bridging show, and that really changes how people can receive vibration and information. So in that sense, it's all happening, like you were saying earlier. So we were talking a little earlier, and you were talking about, like, you even have another book. So you did I See Your Dream Job, which is really about service. I See Your Soulmate, which is about love in an expansive way. And now this new one is about...
it's called I See Your Loved Ones on the Other Side. And it starts with my story of losing my husband, Paul, and the experience I went through, because we were determined we were going to heal him, of course. I was in my 20s and he was in his early 30s, and we were mountaineering outward bound instructors. So we thought, you can overcome this, and we explored conventional and alternative medicine, and finally realized the lesson was surrender, and that it was a spiritual journey and a spiritual lesson. So I start the book writing about that, helping other people who've been through loss to begin to see it in a different way, and to begin to learn that they have the ability to connect directly to their departed loved one. They don't need to go through a medium or a psychic. They can learn to sit, quiet the mind, and have a direct conversation with that departed loved one, so they get that cellular experience of knowing that the other realm is real. And
it's direct, not through a medium, so they don't have to leave their house.
Right.
Right. All right, maybe we'll get into a lot more of that later. So we'll show the second video, which is, again, Lucia Horan, 5-rhythm dance. Gabrielle Roth started it a long time ago. There are a lot of beautiful followers of this 5-rhythm moving meditation. Again, thanks to Gabrielle and Lucia. And if you want to see a beautiful show with Lucia, it's Bridging Show 293. And when you get back, we have another beautiful art piece for the International Healing Art Project. And Sue will give us more love. So enjoy. Yeah, so that was beautiful. Lucia Horan, a 5-rhythm dance by Gabrielle Roth. You know, thank you, Gabrielle. Thank you, Lucia. Again, Lucia's show is Bridging Show 293. And the incredible piece of art you see in between Sue and I is by an old friend of Bridging, a beautiful artist, Ralph White. It's called Imagined Earth. It's a mixed media on watercolor paper. Ralph is from Redondo Beach, California, USA. His website is Ralph White, RalphWhite.com. And this is what he says about his manifesting and producing this incredible piece for the Healing Art Project. A new interpretation and imagining of the beauty of heaven, nature, and the earth. Nature has the ability to blend color and create with intense magnificence, beautiful contrasts and subtle tones. As artists, we endeavor to capture her power, purity, and innocence on canvas. Nature orchestrates the temperature, contrast, brightness, and hue to produce effortless displays of color that inspire and enlighten us. Glorious earth and sky are connected by a brilliant sunset, fluffy cloud formations, or a dazzling starry night sky. As in this painting, linking heaven and earth, we ponder our perception of each entity, realizing our authentic soul. So beautiful. Ralph White, ralphwhite.com. And also, remember, everyone is welcome. The project is about a healing for all of us. It's about a healing the heart of the planet as an acupuncture for the planet. The more people involved, the better the healing. Any skill level, any size, any format, everyone is welcome to join us. It's about the energy of inclusion, it's about the energy of the infinite, and it's about the energy of unconditional love. So everyone is welcome, please join us. So on that note about infinite, inclusive, and unconditional love, why don't you talk to that and how everything you do is about that, really?
Well, as we were talking earlier, intuition comes from the heart. The heart is our connection to soul, and I believe to spirituality as well, and that our mind is sort of it can be our ally, but it's most often our roadblock to connecting to that open heart. And in my soulmate book, I talk about how we each do come here to experience great love in our lives. And what happens is we fall off path, we get involved with the wrong career for the wrong reasons, and we have to go through a painful reinvention to find that true path and then to find our true love. And if I can use your life as an example, you know, you told us in my other time I was here about your previous career on Wall Street and how you went through a big reinvention, decided that you needed meaningful work, and now you do this amazing work in the world. And that's a great example of someone waking up to fulfill their soul potential. And then did you find true love when you reinvented your career and your life that way?
I did.
See? And that's just one example of how when you take that risk and you say, I'm going to be who I came here to be, and it just lines your whole life up with what you came to experience and learn from. And of course we all came to experience love. Of course we did. Love is our open-hearted connection to everybody on the planet. It's what we're made of. And if we're locked in fear, if we're locked in our crazy thinking monkey mind, then we're just blocking what is there for us. And that brings us back to that conversation about meditation and quieting the mind so that we can then breathe and open the heart and live from that connected place.
You know, I never asked you this before, and I'm not even sure you do it. Do you do guided meditation?
With my clients, I tell them I'd rather not have them listen to words in meditation. I would rather they either follow the breath or they repeat a mantra, a sacred sound. Because if we hear words, even guided words in meditation, our mind goes crazy thinking about that. Whether it's an image that we're thinking about looking at, or we're listening to a word and we're thinking, what does that mean? The idea of meditation is to get beyond thought, to get beyond that analytical monkey mind. So when we repeat a sacred mantra, for example, the classic Om or Om Namah Shivaya, then we begin to create a rhythm inside of ourselves, and that quiets the mind and opens our heart. And instantly, if we go with the flow of it, begins to connect us to our higher self. It's so much easier than we think, than we make it sound.
It's a very thin veil, and it's a very thin veil,
You're
especially
exactly
now.
right. Yeah, I love that you said that, a very thin veil. That's exactly how I think of these dimensions, you know, that our departed loved ones are all around us all the time. It's a very thin veil. And the only thing that keeps us from accessing it is the mind, which of course we need to navigate the world. But if we can quiet it just a tiny bit, we can begin to see through that thin veil and remember our purpose and remember who we are, and definitely be aware of all of our departed loved ones trying to help us.
And when you do this with clients, I mean, what it would seem to me to do is like break the blockheadedness. You know, it just, it breaks the conceptual framework of what's possible. And in that, you start building up a momentum of being able to experience that which you thought wasn't possible before.
Right.
So why don't you talk to that?
Well, when I do a session with a client, I'm really sort of changing their whole perspective on their life. I'm saying, let me give you a different way to think about these painful events you've been through. You know, what if you signed up for this as a way to push your soul to evolve to its highest potential? What if you are going through all of this pain because it's getting you to a place of complete joy in your work and complete joy in relationships? But then at the end of the session, I have to tie all that into action steps. Or it just becomes a lovely conversation that they had with somebody once, years ago, that they vaguely remember. So I'm always saying, so are you willing then to go take a class in meditation? Are you willing then to go look into this other career that we talked about? Are you willing to, and I give them all these little baby steps. Because if you go out and just say, all right, all I can manage is I'm going to go take a class in meditation, and I'm going to go find out how to start my own business by visiting the local Chamber of Commerce. Those two steps alone will lead you to bigger and bigger and bigger things, and they will show you the next steps. But we think that we have to be able to see how everything's going to work. If we just, I'm going to go out and start this business and blah, 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 blah. The universe doesn't let us see all that. We just have to say, okay, I can see the next step. I will take that step, and then the next step will be revealed.
And how do you help people from getting too far ahead of themselves? By giving small little procedural steps, so like dominoes can go instead of worrying about the 100th domino?
Right. In fact, I won't let them end the session until they've told me at least 3 baby steps they promise to do within the next few months. And I'll record the session, so they have to go back and listen to their voice saying, I promise I'm going to do this and this and this. And then when they go back and listen to the recording, even if they're stuck in their fear, when they hear their voice say, I promise I'll do these things, they will kind of get more motivated to go back out and take those tiny little steps. It's just like learning to walk on the physical earth. A baby doesn't sit there and think, wow, I got to navigate stairs, I'll never be able to do this.
No, I got to run in the Olympics.
Yeah, I got to run the Olympics, how can I do this?
Right.
The baby says, I'm going to try this one step, and one step leads to the next and to the next, and that beautiful innocence of a baby who's just dropped in here from the highest realms. We have to get back in touch with that. The longer we're here on this planet and we listen to the crazy thinking and the monkey mind and the logic that isn't logical, the reason that isn't reasonable, we get further and further away from that divine, sweet self.
Yeah, the childlike
that
quality.
We all are, that we all came in as.
And in that we live in every moment.
Exactly.
You know, we don't forget what's on our birth certificate. We don't become that we have to drool, but we're living more childlikely, moment to moment to moment.
Right. And that beautiful opening today when you're talking about the miracle of life, I mean, a child thinks every day is a miracle. You know, to wake up and go, oh, today I get to go play outside. You know, and we have to get back to that state. We have to get back to that state of the joy, the play, the innocence of just realizing the sun is out. I get to go.
And how incredible it feels on my human body. How incredible that
feels, you know? And wow, I get to go, even just go have a coffee. I tell my daughter, if you're having a bad day, you know, maybe sometimes a reason to live is a cup of coffee. Whatever it takes to get your joy to start coming back in and get your energy to start shifting. And if you just think of it as, what's a little thing I can do to shift my energy higher? Is it to feel a little bit of gratitude? Is it to feel a little bit of sweetness towards someone? Is it to feel a little bit of open-hearted love instead of fear? Those tiny little steps change everything. They change our lives, our entire lives.
Yeah, breath at a time. Because it changes
time.
the momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about, the people who commit suicide. It takes a lot of momentum to get there. You don't just go, I'm going to.
Right,
But just depression and over earthly time. So if we can keep breaking that pattern,
that negative cycle, exactly.
Right.
I've worked with people who have seriously talked to me about thinking about suicide. And I go back and working it step by step, what would be a little thing you could do to shift your energy to feel better, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and
it breaks the momentum.
It breaks everything.
Right.
And when someone is really depressed and suicidal, what they're really doing is they're in this negative thought loop that they just keep repeating over and over again, and they open their mouths and tell that same negative story to the world over and over again, making it more and more real with every word, with every breath, and yet it takes one shift of thought, of energy, to shift it in a new direction. And then they can begin to see, oh, maybe if I take this step, maybe that could happen and I could have the new life, the life I came to live, the great work I came to do. Because everyone came here to do something magnificent.
And it's all, in essence, it's all the same, to serve the love.
Exactly.
To feel the love and share it. That's what the human condition's about.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we're the same. All of us.
Right.
There are a lot of different stories in the Naked City, but ultimately it comes back to that.
Ultimately, we're all souls on a journey, and we're all just taking it a day at a time, a step at a time, a breath at a time. And we all have challenges, and we all have gifts, and we all have this enormous soul potential inside of us. And if we could all just say yes instead of no more often, and live up to that great potential more, say, hey, it's not about is Sue Frederick good enough or is Alan good enough. It's about opening up to say, I will step up to my higher self. I will believe that I came here on purpose to do something great.
And it feels a lot better.
And it feels like the light has finally been turned on.
A lot of the weight's out of your backpack.
Completely.
And you start standing up and you could start lifting off.
Right.
People talk about, define ascension or
right.
enlightenment, but, get lighter.
Right, exactly.
One little movement at a time.
Yeah. And that's why I love helping grieving people too. My book next year about helping people recover from loss, because there's almost nothing heavier than the sadness of losing someone you love to death and then believing that they're just gone, that they don't exist in another realm, that they're just gone. And that grief is so intense, and I've experienced it myself. It can literally cripple you, keep you from getting out of bed. But again, all these little things we're talking about, I have my grieving patients sit up, or clients, I have them sit up in the bed in the morning and just meditate on the heart chakra, breathe into the heart, feel that pain, cry it, release it, quiet the mind with mantra for a minute, and then start speaking directly to their departed, who they're grieving for, and say, hello, can you tell me that you're here? Can you let me feel your presence in some way? And I've never had a client or student come back and tell me that they didn't hear something, that they didn't feel an answer. And that begins to shift their whole perspective on where their loved one went, why they're still here, and the fact that their departed loved one is watching them wallow in their pain, and that's not what their departed loved one wants them to do. And
not what their departed loved one is experiencing.
Exactly, their departed loved one is in
out
bliss.
Of a body. Exactly. You don't know what trouble it is to have a human. Right.
And when my husband was dying, he was very clear with me. He said, I don't want you wasting your life grieving over me, and I will be very disappointed if you do that. Of course, I did waste a lot of time grieving, but everyone has to move through their pain. But I remember at my moments of waking up, and I would start to, for example, I decided I was going to go to journalism school because I was a writer and I wanted to be able to make my living from that. Paul came to me in every way he could to tell me that that was great. He came to me in dreams. He whispered to me. He had things happen around me to show me, just to say, yes, that's what you're here to do. Keep going. And we all have that.
Right, and then they're all steps to more.
Yeah.
you know, further up and further in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were talking, I think, actually before the show started about how important service is, because if you feel that there's something, you know, that you're here to do, your destiny, that even in those rocky times,
Right.
it's like, do I have something better to do? You know, do I have a book
Yeah.
signing to do? Do I have,
Exactly.
you know, a show taping or
Who can I
a
go
new
help?
piece of art, came
Right.
in and, you know.
Right. And you know, the thing is, our pain is on purpose, and that's a hard thing for people to understand. They think pain is an accident or a tragedy or something that happened randomly to them. Instead, pain is something we choose to experience here on the physical world in order to help us wake up, remember who we are, and then use the wisdom that we get from that pain to turn around and help and guide others. You couldn't be doing this show if you hadn't had painful moments of your journey. I couldn't be helping anyone if I hadn't experienced the loss and the pain that I've been through. So that pain is meaningful once you turn it around and say, now I can use this to help others. And the way I like to say it is, your greatest work is offering to the world what you wish had been offered to you in your moment of greatest pain. And once you line your work up with that, you change the world and change yourself.
That's beautiful. Why don't you say that again?
Our greatest work is in offering to the world what we wish had been offered to us in our moment of greatest pain. And if you can remember a moment of greatest pain, how you wish you might have been helped by someone or shown an insight by someone or raised your energy with the help of someone, then that shows how you're here to help others now through your work.
Yeah, there were times I could have used some help, I'll tell you that, and it didn't seem, you know, right available at the moment. Now, it probably was available, you know, what my vision was and
but
my
don't you
capacity.
agree that with your show now, you help people who are longing to see more meaning in their life?
Absolutely. No, we get emails and calls like that all the time. And, you know, I mean, it's, you know, a lot of times I'll try to forward them to the crew so they get a feel, you know, because they don't see it immediately the way I do.
Yeah.
But, you know, to let them know, I mean, I was just showing Gene, you know, who did that beautiful piece, your husband, this piece we got from Romania. That she sent it in tube. I showed you the piece in there with the eyes and all that. And, and she wrote this thing in broken English, how much the show meant to her. And we received an email from somebody in Croatia recently about that watching the bridging shows for 7 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure, you know, you get that. I mean, and that's what we're here to do, is to really bring that vibration as much as we can into people's lives.
And then someday that person who wrote you that letter is turned around and helping other people to shift their consciousness.
Right.
And it becomes a constant trickle of waking up everyone and helping everyone.
Okay, we're coming to the end in 30 seconds. At this moment, what would you like everybody to know?
I would like everyone to know that they came here on purpose with a divine, beautiful soul mission. And if they open their heart and trust that and feel the love of that, their life will line up beautifully. And they'll help many, many people along the way.
Wow, that's beautiful. That is really beautiful. So, you know, it's really been lovely having you again.
It's wonderful to be back.
You know,
thank you.
And, you know, we just really feel great that we get a chance to do this with people like you, and that you know, take all this incredibleness out to the world. I mean, when we get your newsletters and see you here and there and this place, it's so uplifting for us and so inspiring.
Well, I'm very grateful to get to do this work in the world.
Yeah, that's how we feel blessed and fortunate to be able to do it. So if you want information about Sue, her new book, her past books, the International Healing Art Project, give me a call. It's Alan, 805-687-2053. You know, there's just an opportunity now for us all to come together in love, and let's do it, and let's do it beautifully. Good night. God bless you. We love you. Thank you. Good night.